Welcome to an all-new edition of Second City Sports Zoom Style.
Zoom style.
Along with Lakina McGee and Lamont Scott, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on Twitter and the gram, as the kids will say, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. And you can read all of my articles at WARRegalradio.com. That's WEARREGAL radio.com. And you can find us on Anchor. WARR on Anchor, which kicks you over to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. We're everywhere. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure to search for WARR on Anchor. Also, we on iHeartRadio. Please download that iHeartRadio app. And when you do that, search for WARR on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. We also are on YouTube. Just search for WARR Media. That's WARR Media. And you see this podcast on a video platform. You can see our lovely faces. Voila!
You can follow me at Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, Lamont Scott on Facebook, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
Follow me at Keenan McGee.
And you can find me at Truth and Reason _ on the Twitter. You can also follow the show's Twitter handle at 2NDCSCHI.
Follow me at Keenan McGee on Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the Instagram. Okay, well, let's get right to it, guys, and talk about the Bears and the Falcons yesterday. A lot happened in that game. You got a comeback. You got Falcons won another lead. You got Nick Foles coming in. Who wants to start? This was a very eventful game, we'll say.
I'll start. Do the Bears have a new quarterback? I mean, I had always predicted that he'll be the quarterback by week 4. I'm still on track for that. And like, I think the whole energy of the team changed at that point. They was fighting for extra yards. They was trying to make plays. It just seemed like the whole atmosphere changed. They knew it was time to make a change, and the proper change was made.
So I'll jump in here. I didn't see the second half of the game, but of course, I caught the highlights and everything a little later on and read what was going on the Twitter and throughout the internet. And first half, obviously the Bears, they left touchdowns and points on the board. I believe there was a missed field goal there. We'll get into that in a second. And the Bears' lack of a kicking game. But there was also a lot of penalties, especially in that first half. I know there were some in the second half as well. But listen, guys, we all saw this coming. I mean, in one sense or form, right? I mean, Lamont, you said 4 weeks. I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about this, but my sense was at least by week 6 or 7 myself, if they didn't see any improvement from Trubisky, they were going to make the change. So this is not totally surprising. And, it's sad in a way because obviously the Bears have failed once again to draft a franchise quarterback, and you could see the immediate difference in the offense when Nick Foles came into the game. Trubisky's knock is just that he was not willing to push the ball down the field. Well, one of his many knocks, actually, but his unwillingness to push the ball down the field was really hindering this high-powered Matt Nagy offense. We know how Matt Nagy wants to get the ball down the field. He wants to score points. And there were plenty of opportunities there, and you can't miss a wide-open Anthony Miller for a touchdown towards the end of the second half. I mean, these are the things that if you want to be an NFL professional franchise quarterback in this league, you have to make throws like that. And then I saw the interception that he threw this morning, actually the highlight of that, and that's just deplorable. I mean, you've got to see that guy. It's his own defense, for crying out loud. If you don't see him, then, again, he deserved to get benched. Obviously, Matt Nagy goes with Foles pretty much the next series, and the offense and the Bears take off from there. And, again, I don't think any of this is a coincidence. Matt Nagy had to make this decision to save his season and the Bears season.
I played the role of the cynic and the pessimist once again for the third straight week. The Bears should be 0-3. With that being said, as a Bears fan, you should be happy with the team being 3-0, but it comes with a cost on a couple of fronts. One, the injury to Tariq Cohen was devastating. You're really going to miss him. We'll get into that later. The quarterback, quote-unquote, controversy, as we all said leading up to this season, well, we all saw this potentially happening at some point this season. What Nick Foles did on Sunday, he deserved we all know what he has done throughout his career. To people that want to make it a quote-unquote controversy, this isn't a controversy. Barring injury, Nick Foles will be the starting quarterback for the Bears moving forward. Let me repeat that again for those of you that do not want to believe it or don't want to listen. As the kids would say, one more again. Nick Foles, barring injury, will be your starting quarterback. Now, have we seen Mitch Trubisky as the last time playing in the Bears uniform? I don't think so. Did we see him as the last time as a starting quarterback for the Bears? Yes.
Yeah. You kind of took that where I wanted to go with it real quick, Sydney, before Lakina, you can jump in here. I don't think Trubisky ever throws a pass for the Bears again. I mean, I know that could be, a little extreme and a little bit of, outlier there. But again, barring injuries, if Nick Foles gets injured or something, I don't think Mitch Trubisky ever throws a pass for the Bears again. He's got an option coming up this year. There's no way the team is going to pick that up.
And when Nagy just named Nick Foles the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, he'll throw a pass as a backup. They might sign him as a backup, which I'll be okay with. He can get some of that money back, and I'll be okay with him being a backup.
Yeah, I think for me, the
Well, Trubisky is he will be the backup for the foreseeable future for the rest of the season, as I said, barring injury. But another point I want to piggyback off of Jason is the first half. The first two drives, it should have been 14 points, to be honest with you. We do need a kicker, but we'll get into that later. The Bears actually look good, but there should have been more points put up on the board. With those first two drives, you only accumulated 3 points. That's inexcusable. Now, toward the end of that first half, I agree with you, Jason. That Anthony Miller, that was supposed to be a touchdown catch, Trubisky overthrew him. Anthony Miller ran the route correctly. Trubisky just overthrew him over his head. That should have been a 17-16 Bears lead at halftime instead of you trailing by 6 points. Now, also in the first half, the Bears had a bunch of dumb penalties, and they were undisciplined to an extent. The Atlanta Falcons weren't really doing anything to it much exotic. They were doing play action, which the Bears had been fooled by that all year long. You can go back to the Detroit game for that. This defense still has a lot of work to do. Now, in the second half, the defense turned it around just enough to save the team for victory. And it was the Atlanta Falcons that were playing undisciplined, playing prevent coverage and giving up dumb plays and committing dumb penalties. The Bears were lucky to get out of there with a win yesterday. Now, with that being said, the only thing that was consistent from the Bears on Sunday was the running game and the offensive play of the offensive line. You had to give thumbs up to both of those units.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Well, yeah, especially for the offensive line. At least they didn't get off to a great start, Sid. Let's also put that out there. Your boy James Daniels showed his ugly head again with a couple of false starts and holding penalties.
Yeah.
But that's okay. They got it back going, and like you said, Atlanta was really ready for it, especially in that first half. They were ready for that run. They really, really were. They stuffed Montgomery on a few plays there. But again, as it got going in the second half, you could see the hole starting to open up there a little bit. And you clean up some penalties, right? And it's a closer game in the first half if the Bears don't outright have the lead. And this is part of the frustration that goes into being a Bears fan and watching this Bears offense when Trubisky was leading it. You had mentioned it. The score should have been probably 14-0 at midway through the first quarter. Those are touchdowns that the Bears have to have early in the game to establish momentum, to establish some sort of comfortability, especially when you're on the road. I mean, I know, there's no fans in the stands, but you're still on the road. It's a hostile environment. You're not at home. These are the things you want to see. And they mentioned it. I know Jonathan Vilma mentioned it on the broadcast. I think he's great, by the way. Hopefully we can get into that a little bit more later on in the show. But Vilma mentioned it as far as the frustrations with the offense. You could really see it, even though Matt Nagy's wearing a do-rag or whatever he had on his face, a mask on. You could see the frustration on his face as far as the team not being able to come away with points. And again, you have to make a move like this because the Bears are now 3-0, but they were 2-0 in spite of Mitchell Trubisky, not because of him.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have you.
All right, cool. I finally got able to adjust my my audio. But sorry about that, folks. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm just hoping that Foles can do this consistently. We haven't had any evidence in his career that he does this consistently. I mean, he kind of jumps in when someone else messes up, and look, yeah, he won a Super Bowl. Well, Phillies having their own issues. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But look, I'm hoping that Foles could pull it out, but history has shown that they haven't. And again, listen, Trubisky is being a gentleman and say, look, you know what, he deserves it. I'm with the team, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sure it's got to be hurting his ego. I mean, after one pick, which actually in this case was not his fault, Denard actually kind of ripped the ball away from A-Rob. So, I mean, it's sort of like one of those things that happens. So I don't know. I mean, keep going with what you guys been saying.
Yeah, I want to jump in on that Allen Robinson touchdown that was taken away by Denard, as you mentioned, Lakina. The NFL officials got it wrong. Allen Robinson had control of the ball. As soon as his head touched the ground, it counts as 2 feet. And after that happened, Denard ripped it away for the interception. The NFL got that call wrong. I know it would be a bigger issue if the Bears would have lost that game. But with that being said, that Allen Robinson touchdown should have counted. He should have had 2 touchdowns yesterday instead of 1. Now, the Anthony Miller touchdown that was taken away in the fourth quarter, they got that right because the ball touched the ground, and Miller did not have full control of that ball. So the refs got the call right with the Anthony Miller touchdown in the fourth quarter. But the Allen Robinson touchdown, they totally screwed that up.
So Nick Foles possibly could have had 5 touchdowns. I mean, Nick Foles, the fact that he threw the ball in the end zone, I think, was a refreshing sight for me. And Lakina said Mitch took it. Yeah, he took it on the chin, and you were saying his ego might be hurt. I mean, he's never even showed the ego really. So I think he probably is just like, okay, whatever, because that's the kind of, that's how he comes out to me, like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I think that's why he's in the position he's in. I don't think he's put forth everything he needs to put forth. That's my opinion.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I'm over Trubisky at this point. Honestly, I was over him in the last year. Again, I mean, he is what he is at this point, right, guys? I mean, this is his 4th year. We were looking for a step forward, a jump in productivity and ability, but we're just starting to see the same old things. And he can take it on the chin all he wants, but he's got to take it on the chin from a bench, and hopefully we never see him on the field again.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, for me, I think we'll see where this Bears team goes from here. I know that, look, Matt Nagy, to his credit, he didn't really commit to, a starter for next week's game against the Colts.
No, he did it.
He did? Well, I mean, did he officially say it, or?
He officially said it. Yeah, I'm reading it now. He officially said it.
Oh, well, then maybe literally just a couple minutes. Oh, yeah, I see it right here.
Breaking right now.
Yeah, okay, Lamont's right. I mean, I see Ian Rappaport reporting it right here in his tweet. So, yeah, so it looks like it is going to be Foles. And look, I mean, for me, I think that my biggest concern with this team is that they have not played a complete game yet. That is, for me, that's the issue for me. I mean, the offense has not played a complete game. The defense has not played a complete game. The special teams, I think, as Jason, you just said it earlier, they're having their problems too. So I'm not there yet with this 3-0 team. I've heard people say that, and they're right. This is probably the most undeserving 3-0 team in the league right now. I think there are like 4 or 5 teams left undefeated pending tonight's game, which we'll also preview as well.
I want to focus in on that Bears offense and the injury to Tariq Cohen. Of course, he's going to be missed on the special teams, which means on offense, Cordell Patterson, who's your quote-unquote backup running back, you're going to see a whole lot more of him now taking Tariq Cohen's place. Now, will they get to replace Cohen as far as the roster spot, whether it's via the practice squad or via free agency. It's going to be interesting to see who the Bears pick up, because if they're looking for a diamond in the rough via free agency, you're not going to get it, because Tariq Cohen is a special type of player, and he's a freak of habit who makes guys miss, even though he's short for the position that he plays. But I'm interested to see what the Bears do creatively now that Tariq Cohen is gone for the year. I know Anthony Miller will replace him as far as punt returns are concerned, and you still have Patterson as your kick returner. But we're going to see an increased role in this offense for Patterson as your quote-unquote backup running back slash now maybe third wide receiver going forward. It's going to be a challenge for this Bears offense to pick up now that we know that Nick Foles is your starting quarterback going forward.
Yeah, where did you guys see that news at? I know I'm a little late on it, but where?
NFL
Network? Yeah, okay.
Ian Rappaport literally just tweeted. I see
Jared
Payton tweeted too. Yeah. Dan
yep,
Weaver.
I'm seeing it now on my Twitter.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, again, not surprising here, folks. I definitely agree with your point, Lakina. We've seen Foles do this, but can he keep it up for a season? Let's hope so, right? I mean, we just want to see good quarterback play here in Chicago. I mean, we just want to see quarterback play here in Chicago.
I hope I see that in my lifetime. I think we cursed. I mean, I've never seen it in my lifetime. I mean, I'm getting older. I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, hopefully I'll see it before it's all over, but I've never seen it. And to see Foles run out there in that number 9 was kind of funny. I was like, oh, okay, we got Jim McMahon back. So maybe we can go to a Super Bowl.
Oh, my gosh. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear you say that. Unfortunately, some bad news for the Bears. Various people are reporting that it has been confirmed that Tariq Cohen has indeed tore his ACL in yesterday's game. That is a big loss for them, I think, because he kind of keeps the chains moving. Yeah, he kind of freaks you out at times with some of the things he does. Sometimes when he gets the punt returns or the kickoff returns, he usually goes backwards before he goes forwards. He usually goes sideways. So yeah, look, I mean, this is a big loss for the Bears. I think. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but what do you guys think?
Well, let me jump in here. I actually, and I've been totally wrong before, and I could be again, but I don't think this is as big a loss as you may think it may be, Lakina. Again, he hasn't, and I love Tariq Cohen. I actually do. I think he does do a lot of different things for the Bears. I like his role within the team, but Tariq Cohen is not really a game changer in my opinion. He can break big plays. He has ability to be explosive, sure, but have we seen one real game where we can say that was the Tariq Cohen game since he's been in the league? I mean, I think it's a definite loss, but I don't think it may be as big a loss as we may think. A lot of the times when he's used in the offensive lineup, he pretty much gets the ball. He's not really a decoy. You know what I mean? He's not really there to throw off a defense. If he's in the lineup, he's getting the ball. So again, I don't think it'll be a big loss, but I could be totally wrong here. What do you guys think, Sid and Lamont?
Well, I agree with you a little bit. I mean, he's had some great moments, but as far as being a difference maker, I mean, he's just another player in a sense almost. Like, they can put anybody in that spot, and anybody can make that play, and that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, I'm sorry he hurt. Great player. He did wonderful things for us, but at the same time, going forward, I don't see where to be that big of a loss. I think someone else might get a chance, like Sia said. Patterson will give more opportunities, so let's see what he can do all around.
Also, keep your eye on rookie wide receiver Patrick Mooney. We talked about him on our last podcast. I know he had a couple of catches yesterday, and I know he had a couple more targets as well. Now that Nick Foles is in the fold as your starting quarterback going forward, hopefully you'll see Mooney get just a little bit more targets. Allen Robinson is going to get his, and the tight ends, which we'll talk about in a minute, really stepped up yesterday via Jimmy Graham. And hopefully that the production will be spread around, and hopefully Patrick Mooney will get just a couple more targets And let's see if Anthony Miller can pick up his play as well. He did catch the game-winning touchdown yesterday, so the production will be spread around, and we'll see if they can pick up going forward.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Is it Mooney or Moody? I think it's Moody, right? So
Mooney.
Mooney.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from that draft pick so far. I know he hasn't had a whole lot of snaps, so far in the early season, but yeah, I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing so far. I think that was him with that sideline catch early in the first half of the game.
Yeah.
I think Mitch threw that out route, and that was a really, really nice catch. And I think he had a couple of catches last week and week 1 as well. I like what I'm seeing from him. And again, I think you will start to see that production ramp up a little bit with a capable, competent quarterback in the backfield. You'll start to see a lot more of those deep shots and connections to Anthony Miller, some of those deep shots and connections to Allen Robinson, hopefully some of those intermediate connections to Moody or to whoever else may be. I know Foles likes to spread the ball around, and so does Matt Nagy. He likes seeing a lot of different guys get involved in the offense. And I also think this is a big opportunity for David Montgomery to get a lot more playing time and production in as well. He's shown the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, so I'm looking for him, especially for fantasy purposes, selfishly.
And run people over.
But yeah, I'm looking for Montgomery to pick up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see how he does. I mean, if we get the Nick Foles you saw in Philadelphia, hey, great. But if we get the Nick Foles we saw last year in Jacksonville, that's going to be a problem. And like I said, I mean, everybody needs to step up. They need to play a complete game from first to fourth quarter. They can't afford to, especially coming up on Sunday against a pretty good Colts team. They've been banged up too, but look, Frank Reich's a very capable coach, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens here from here on out. Now that Foles is going to be the starter moving forward.
I think you'll get that complete game because I don't think they were able to play a complete game because the defense was mentally out of it because they knew they couldn't get no help from the offense. So I don't think they was all in. I mean, I know it seems small, but I just don't think they was all in on Mitch. So we're going to see. This might be it. I think we're going to go up to Indianapolis and show out.
All right, now let's do the flip side here with Atlanta. I gave a shout out to Sid and Lamont right after the game yesterday. Mr. Dan Quinn should be getting his pink slip and his link card. Why is he still the coach of Atlanta? I have no idea. Unless he got some weird photos of Arthur Blank in a compromising position. I don't know why he hasn't been fired yet. But what do you guys think about Atlanta's performance? I mean, they made history again. This is the second time ever that a team that was up at least 15 points and they blew the lead. They do it again. I don't know what else to say. Look, I'm sure heads are rolling down there in Atlanta. I know Elle Duckett from ESPN, who is an Atlanta girl, I know she's been sort of like, bringing out the feelings of Atlanta sports fans. So what do you guys think?
You say him and Arthur Blank been to Magic City, huh?
They like the wings, Lamont.
No, I mean, that got to be rough on him down there. I mean, it's like maybe he's not in it no more. I mean, Matt Ryan is good. They got some wide receivers down there. They got boys that can catch the ball. They got a running back that know what he's doing. Why they keep losing? I think I heard Jonathan Vilma say it was mental. He said it's in their mind now. That's why they're doing it. He says it's mental. And so that's going to be hard to overcome unless you change your coach. So I look forward to see who's going to be the next person going down there to Atlanta to do something with that talented roster. There's a lot of talent down there.
It is a very good roster offensively. Of course, they were missing Julio Jones on Sunday, but they put up enough points to beat the Bears. But they did what the Bears did, but only in the opposite, blowing leads the last 2 weeks. As you mentioned, Lamont, Matt Ryan is a very good quarterback. He was not the problem yesterday. I think just with Atlanta, they let their foot off the gas, and it was mental, like Jonathan Vilma said on a broadcast yesterday. Atlanta, they were beating the Bears at the point of attack, and through the first 3 quarters, especially with the running game. Todd Gurley's stats, you look at him, it wasn't as vintage Todd Gurley as we come to expect in the past, but he had a touchdown on Sunday. Brian Hill on that draw screen, he scored a touchdown on a 23-yard run. So they were beating the Bears at a point of attack. So the offense wasn't the problem. It's just like the defense, which we told you on our last podcast over the weekend, their defense, especially their secondary, was terrible. You had about 3 or 4 guys leave via injury, and the Bears couldn't take advantage until Nick Foles got in the game. And once that happened, like we mentioned, it was mental. Oh, here we go again, and you saw what happened.
Yeah, Dan Quinn probably should have been fired after last year, right? I mean, this is really, really, really bad. They are the first team to lose a game after having a 16-point plus lead in the fourth quarter. First team in history to do that, back-to-back weeks. Unacceptable. I mean, it's really just unacceptable. I don't know any other way to put it. They only scored 10 points in the second half when they probably should have and could have scored more. They probably should have scored more in the first half, how they were doing the Bears defense earlier on in the game, but they couldn't take advantage. You know, Matt Ryan is the king of starting off a game hot and then cooling off tremendously, and it's getting worse by the day down there in Atlanta. And yeah, I'm not really sure why Dan Quinn still has a job even to this day. It's a bad look, and it's a really, really bad loss.
Why didn't they run? I think my thing is like, why didn't they run the ball more in the second half? They could have milked the clock. I mean, both Gurley and Brian Hill were doing their thing, running wise. They were, especially Hill. I mean, why did they give him the ball? Why are they trying to pass the ball? I mean, they had, Ryan had 0 completions during that fourth quarter. So I don't know why they didn't run the ball. Can't play Kyle Shanahan. He's not there anymore. So I don't know, who else he can blame. But yeah, so heads should be rolling down there. All right, studs and duds time, gentlemen. All right, who wants to start with their studs?
I'll start. I was watching this game live via my computer. The Tampa Bay and Denver contest. Shout out to Chicago's very own Adam Amin, who called the game for Fox yesterday. Patrick O'Connor, number 79 of Tampa Bay. He blocked a punt from Denver, which started it off for Tampa Bay, which led to their first touchdown by Chris Godwin, who left the game with a concussion. So Patrick O'Connor, number 79 for Tampa Bay. He gets my game ball. Number 2, Tyler Croft, the tight end for Buffalo. 2 touchdowns, which Buffalo came back and won over the Los Angeles Rams, 32-28. And number 3 for right now, Aaron Donald, even in a loss when the Rams were coming back. 2 sacks. As I said on our last podcast, if Buffalo wanted to win, they had to have their running game run away from Aaron Donald, which they did early, but they relaxed. Aaron Donald came to light. He had 2 sacks. And also shout out to running back Darrell Henderson for the Rams as well. So both of those guys will get my early game balls.
I will go with my studs, of course, riding the Jason wave. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is showing that his name should be mentioned at the top of these quarterbacks. It's like they keep forgetting about who that man is. Russell Wilson will definitely get a stud. I'm going to go with Matt Nagy for having the courage to pull Mitch. That took a lot of courage. I'm serious.
Mine. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That was a lot. That took a lot of heart to pull him, and he finally had to do it because he realized that if I don't pull him, I might lose my job. So I got to get rid of him. So that's who I was leaning towards.
Okay, for me, I know it was a losing effort, but Alvin Kamara, listen, he's all world, people. Gets it done catching the ball, gets it done running the ball. Made a few people look foolish in that game in Green Bay. That was a fun one to sort of watch. I didn't get to watch it all, but yeah. I mean, Alvin Kamara definitely gets a stud for me. Let's see. Big stud. You know what? I'm actually going to give one to Todd Gurley from the Atlanta Falcons. I am because I didn't think he actually had anything in him anymore. But he showed me a few things on the ground yesterday against the Bears defense, which again, not really good. We know that, but he's going to get a stud for me. Could have been a dud, could have been a real big dud, but ended up being a stud. DK Metcalf. Catching that game-winning touchdown in that Dallas game, a little bit of redemption for him because of a bonehead play earlier where he had a touchdown, but of course lollygagged in the end zone and got it knocked away from him. So redemption on his part. I'm going to give a big redemption stud to DK Metcalf.
Okay. For me, I think you stole one of mine. I was going to give it to Kamara in a losing effort, but I'm going to go on the other side from that game. The Green Bay Packers, like it or not, Bears fans, they're 3-0 too. I mean, they've got three. Aaron Rodgers had 3 touchdowns, and the defense made some big plays late, including the fumble return that sealed that win for them. And look, Aaron Rodgers has only been sacked 3 times the first 3 weeks of this season, and he looks very comfortable in that offense. And I think this is a guy who feels like his back is against the wall, and they could be a team to record with the Packers. I think we might have underestimated them. One more for me, the Carolina Panthers. They broke a 10-game losing streak going back to last season. Matt Rule gets his first win as coach. Teddy Bridgewater had only one touchdown pass, but he had 235 yards passing. So that kept the Chargers off the field. I think that played huge dividends. And, Mike Davis did his thing to kind of, now that Christian McCaffrey's going to be out for a while, for only 46 rushing yards, but he was able to keep the chains moving, kept the Chargers, like I said, off the field. So Carolina, totally deserving of a stud there. And one more, Josh Allen. Look, I think he made his mistakes early on in that game. However you feel about that call, that pass interference call, but he was able to overcome the interception that led to the Rams comeback. But he made the touchdown pass late to seal the win for the Bills, and now they're undefeated. So those are my studs. Now, duds.
Real quick, Lakina.
Yeah.
Real quick, Lakina. A couple of bonus studs for me / game balls. Allen Robinson from the Bears. He should have had 2 touchdowns instead of 1, but he showed up big with over 100 yards receiving. Jimmy Graham for the Bears, couple of touchdowns. It was nice to see him pop up again. And Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks, 3 touchdowns.
All right. So duds time. On the flip side, who are your duds?
I'll go first. The Arizona Cardinals.
It pains me. It
Good call. Yeah, I was watching that game via my computer. They were terrible.
It pains me.
It's like they started listening to their own hype or something. I don't know what happened, but Hopkins had another great game, but Arizona, that wasn't cool losing to them. And another one, I gotta go back to my own Chicago Bears and Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he couldn't learn the job in 4 years. I mean, you give me 3 years on the job. If I'm not doing it, I want you to sit me down. That's just how I feel. So, I mean, he got to get it done because he couldn't learn nothing in 3 years, and that's not.
Lamont, I want to go back to that Detroit-Arizona game yesterday. What grade would you give Dick Stockton, even though yours surely did watch it in its entirety?
Dick Stockton, like he be watching 2 games. That's and I can't wait to meet him so I can tell him too. So,
gosh,
games like he watch it and he say it, and then but I'm always up for a Dick Stockton game.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jason.
So you guys know where I'm going with this. It's my all-time favorite team. It's the New York Adam Gases.
Oh my God.
Hey, Lamont, get that pink slip ready.
Right. I had somebody walked up when I was looking at that Jets game and said, they don't look that good. Watch football. It was like, they don't look that good. I was like, you just don't know.
My mom was like that too. She saw me watching on the computer, like, oh, wait, they look really bad. They just look really bad. Like, yeah, Mom, you're right.
I don't know how you can make yourself look bad. That's the problem. But they find new ways to make themselves look even worse than what they were. And, excuse me, obviously, Sam Darnold is not an NFL quarterback at this point either, folks. 3 interceptions yesterday, 2 of them returned for touchdowns. And they have no offense. Their defense is on the field way too much. Adam Gase doesn't have a clue what he's doing. I don't know how. Well, I know how he has his jobs. I think that's a completely different conversation for today. But
He went to Magic City.
They're a bad team. They need to move on from him immediately. One of my duds. Other dud is it's the other New York team. It's the New York Joe Judges.
Oh my God.
For their team name, man. They can't have their name no more.
That's the point. That's the point.
That's true.
They can no longer have the names that they have right now, Lamont. That's why I'm calling them what I'm calling them, because they don't deserve their names. I'm glad I am not a New York football fan at this current moment in time, because both teams are just horrible. I think the jury is still out on Daniel Jones as of right now. They've been decimated by injuries, so I'm trying to give him a pass there. They have no offensive line because of those injuries, and they really don't have any viable passing targets or running backs. So I mean, they're just in shambles as far as offense goes, and again, the defense just can't keep up with that when your offense is so bad. So they're still going to get duds for me. The Jets, the Giants, and also another coach that should get the pink slip. Another. Not necessarily the team, but the coach. I think the Houston Texans only had the ball for like 3.5 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's also unacceptable. I mean, just unacceptable. I know Deshaun Watson got paid, and I'm so glad he did, but I know he is gritting his teeth and calling out the good Lord to whoever to get Bill O'Brien out of there. There's no way you can convince me that he's not doing that, because that man has single-handedly ruined that team for him. And he needs to go.
Yes, he had. And then no excuse to ruin it. Like, it don't even have I don't see nothing at no direction or no way he was trying to go with none of the moves he made. And maybe New York can combine their team and come up with a team. Put the Jets together and just New York everything or something and help.
A couple of duds for me. One, the replay officials that took away that first touchdown from Allen Robinson. I said what I said earlier, so I'll leave it at that. Mic drop. Number two, the Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to our good friend Lakina and Jason Spiro Diaz, who called the game yesterday. So we should give him more love on this program. I know we bag on Dick Stockton in a good, respectful way, but shout out to Spiro Diaz, who called that game yesterday. Philadelphia is my dud. Doug Peterson, I don't think that Super Bowl win from a couple years ago, I don't think it's going to help you anymore. Lamont may be ready to drop another pink slip. Carson wins, it wouldn't have ended in a tie. Another dud. Go ahead, Lamont.
He was happy with that tie. You see, he was like, yeah, the tie was the best thing.
That was the only ending for that game, because that whole game was a dud.
Yeah.
A people reminded that whole game was a dud.
Now, if you'd have gave that ball back to Joe Burrow, they would have lost.
Yeah. And also, my last dub for me, Kirk Cousins with another turnover in the fourth quarter. Minnesota, they were going back and forth with the Titans. They should have had the game won, but as we all talk about on this show, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback when it comes down to pressure situations. He finds a way to mess it up. He threw another late game interception yesterday. So, head coach, I'm blanking on the Minnesota head coach.
Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer. He should get a pink slip if this continues to slide. They're 0-3 now. So, those are my three duds: Minnesota, Philadelphia, and the replay officials from the Chicago-Atlanta game.
Well, I already previewed my first dud. That Eagles Bengals game was a dud. I felt bad for our good buddy Spiro and now Adam Archuleta, because they were trying to kind of make it entertaining, but that whole game was just terrible. It was, and that was, look, our another one of our good friends, Shea Peppercorn, she said, "Oh, well, that's one awful way to end the game in a tie." Well, no, that's the only way to end a game like that. No one deserved to win that game. But Lamont, you stole another one from me. Arizona Cardinals. That pains me, because I like this team a lot.
Me too.
Young. I think that I'm hoping this is not one of those games where down the line that loss is going to come to bite him in the butt when it comes to tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Not having Christian Kirk there, I think that would have helped that defense, that secondary a little bit, so they would have been able to pressure Stafford, and he would have been a better matchup with Kenny Galloway, because Galloway showed why he's one of the top young wide receivers in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 first half turnovers will kill you as a young team, and that's what happens to Arizona.
Absolutely. I know people in Arizona are saying, they should run the ball more. They actually ran the ball well, but we know that's not Cliff Kingsbury style. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully you'll learn from many and burn the tape. I think one more. I think I got one more. Who the hell was it? Shoot. Jacksonville. We're going back to Thursday night, or we don't get a chance to talk about the Thursday nighters, but God, no. They will.
I lost that game.
Yeah, no more Minshew mania. Sorry. And also, a bonus stud for me, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 2 touchdowns and a touchdown rushing. The beard. I mean, I mean, we'll see if they can.
About 80% of his passes, didn't
he? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Miami can. I don't know if Miami will be able to challenge for maybe a wild card spot. Who knows? But that was a good performance by him. So those are my studs and duds for.
A bonus one for you, Cam Newton on just playing football in that hat he wore in that press conference. But yeah, he just playing football, and he, I'm happy that he's succeeding when they thought it was over for him. But I'm glad he's doing okay.
Yeah, they put it on the Raiders yesterday. Woo.
Oh yeah, as they're winning, he can dress up like the Easter Bunny. As long as they're winning.
But he close to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they just can't beat the Patriots as far as the Raiders go. But I want to talk about this is about the Patriots. People were in this quote-unquote debate. Will Tom Brady succeed without Belichick? Will Belichick succeed without Brady? I think they're both okay. Now, it helps that you've got a guy like Cam Newton leading your offense, but the thing that has made Bill Belichick, in my opinion, maybe the greatest coach of all time, is his ability to take a team and mold it and strengthen it to what they do best. The Patriots are now a run-heavy team. They focused on that, and they're doing it well. Like you said, Rex Burkhead 3 touchdowns. Cam Newton doing his thing. He looks healthy. They're not going to air it out for 400 yards every week, folks. But what they are going to do is going to line up, hit you with 2 tight end sets a lot of the time, do some QB options with Cam Newton back there, and hand the ball off. And they're probably going to beat you more times than not. And this is why I say Bill Belichick might be the greatest coach of all time, and why I've loved watching the Patriots so far this year.
Yeah, I like
it. All right, let's get to Monday night, tonight's game. Battle of Unbeatens. This should be a really good one here between the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. We watching the people that the Bears didn't want the quarterback game, so that's
Don't remind us, man. Don't remind us.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just funny because that's actually Lamar Jackson is my mama's favorite football player, so she gonna come watch the game with me tonight. She been posted up like all week talking about when he gonna play. So I can't wait to watch this game tonight. And Baltimore. I think Baltimore gonna do their thing tonight. I think they're gonna show people that they shouldn't be overlooked in this whole who gonna win the AFC thing. So I'm looking for a strong performance out of Baltimore, and I'm looking at them to run the ball really well. And I think the Chargers exposed something with Mahomes. I think if you hit him enough, you can slow him down. So I think the Ravens might be on some hit him hard type stuff. I can't wait to see can they pull that off.
Well, this game is in Baltimore, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Ravens here, but that's not necessarily going to be a knock or an all eyes on Kansas City moment for me. They're the hunted, and we've talked about this before, folks. When you're the hunted, it is difficult to look as good as you did when you're not the hunted. So Kansas City they're still going to be right where they need to be when it's all said and done. I'm not worried about Kansas City, but there may be some slight blowout potential tonight, folks. I think the Ravens are ready for this game. I think they're really ready to put themselves right up at the top where they think where they think they deserve to be. I know they're probably still a little stung about how last season ended. They're getting off to a great start, and I think again, slight blowout potential here for the Ravens.
They want some respect.
As on our last podcast on Friday, I picked the Baltimore Ravens. Here's right, as you mentioned, Lamont, their defense is a little bit better than it was a year ago. I want to see how they do against their run defense does against Kansas City. Number 2, can you pressure Patrick Mahomes and get him out of his rhythm? And number 3, for Baltimore, running the football. My guy, rookie running back J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. Let's see if he gets some more touches. Mark Ingram, if he can stop fumbling the ball. He's done well this year. So I'm looking forward to the running game for Baltimore tonight. Can they control the line of scrimmage? If they can, they'll win this ball game. I did pick Baltimore, so I expect them to win tonight. How much? I don't know, but I expect a victory. It should be a classic game. I hope it is from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, because I think that I think Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, and Louis Rigger, I think they deserve to call a classic game, and I think this will be it tonight. I think it'll be close, but I think Baltimore does enough to pull away because they're on a mission. They're ready, and they're not happy with how last season ended for them. They really feel like they should have won, or at the very least got to the Super Bowl. Who knows if they would have won it, but they should have at least gotten to it. And, Derrick Henry kind of ran all over them. They improved that. They bulked up in their pass rush. And I think, the Chargers kind of gave me the formula as to how to slow down Mahomes and that offense. So I think they're going to use it tonight. I think they're going to put it all out there. And I think, I'm not going to say blowout, but I think Baltimore pulls away late. I think that's going to be the key for me. All right, that's our recap for our NFL Week 3, our preview, also slash preview for the Monday Night Football game. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk MLB Playoffs. The stage is set. Both the Cubs and the White Sox are in it. We'll talk about that. Also, the NBA Finals are set, so we're going to talk about that as well. Also, college football, recapping that. A couple of teams might have separated themselves, and are they back? Well, we'll find out. This is Second City Sports Zoom style, and we'll be right back.
So the Yankees win. The Yankees are the Dodgers.
Welcome back to Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom
style.
Once again, I'm Lakina McGee. You can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow me. Go ahead, Sid.
Okay. You can follow me at SidKid80 on Twitter and the Insta. Once again, at SidKid80, that's SIDKID80, SIDKID80. We're also on your podcast platforms. Just search for WARR or Anchor, which kicks you over to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. We're everywhere. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you download WARR on Anchor, which includes Second City Sports in the scope of Josh Hicks, That Davis Show, Dean Davis, That Davis and Friends to Flip, and all other programming from WARR Media. Also, we on iHeartRadio. Please, please, please download that iHeartRadio app. Once you do, type in the search engine box WARR on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor, and you'll access our lovely podcast programming right there. And we are also on YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, that's at WARR Media. You can watch this lovely podcast and see our lovely faces. Voila! There we are.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Truth and Reason _ on the Twitter. You can also follow the show's Twitter handle at 2NDCSCHI.
All right, gentlemen. We got the 16-team field MLB playoffs, which starts tomorrow. Both the Cubs and the Sox are in. The Cubs win their division. Unfortunately for the White Sox, the Cubs beat the White Sox in their series. They take 2 out of 3. So Sox got to go to Oakland. Cubs get to host the Marlins, winning the NL Central. So, okay, so I'm trying to see how to say this. Who do you guys think has the best chance of advancing further?
We're going to see that Chicago World Series, right?
Put that bottle down, Lamont.
I mean, it's only karma. It's only karma that we get a Chicago World Series when we can't go.
It won't be played on Illinois soil.
Yeah, that defeats the purpose.
So that's what I mean. So that's why we will get it now. So that's that. If the baseball gods like us, like I know they do, that's what probably will end up happening. Simply because we can't participate physically in it, we'll get it now. But right now, I think I don't know. I like the Cubs. The Cubs hitting right now, and I think it can continue. They might go a little further than the White Sox. I mean, even though the Dodgers win a lot of games, I don't think they're invincible. And this Marlins team is scrappy. They beat COVID, so they feel like they can beat anybody. So you got to watch them. But I think the Cubs probably can go further than the White Sox.
Go ahead, Sid. I want to get your view on this first.
Oh, great. Just put me on the spot. Well, the White Sox ended the season terribly, winning 2 out of their last 10 games. Can they get it together against Oakland? I think that they can, but I'm not sure how they will respond to playoff pressure. As we talked about the last few weeks, this is the first time this group is going to go through this experience together. Do they have enough offense to win this wild card series against Oakland? Yes, but on the other side of Oakland, the injury to Matt Chapman may come back to bite them now, because where are they going to get their offense from? I know that Matt Olson led the team in home runs with 14 and also led the team with 42 RBIs. Also, you have former Sox prospect Marcus Semien on that squad as well. But I question Oakland's starting pitcher at the Met Fires. As of this recording, we don't know who's going to start for Oakland in Game 1. I know on the other side for the Sox, Giolito will go in Game 1, followed by Dallas Keuchel in Game 2. Hopefully, if you're the Sox, Dallas Keuchel's back, it doesn't flare up, because if it does, they're going to be in a world of trouble. I think the Sox do have a chance here, but I got to see a whole lot more. The finish to the end of this regular season is not encouraging, but when the playoffs start, it's a fresh start. Now, as far as the Cubs are concerned, their bats did come alive this past weekend on the south side against the Sox. I think they can beat Florida or Miami now, but after that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the Cubs' perspective first on this. Like the way they ended the season, of course. Winning 2 out of 3 against the White Sox. But before John Lester's last start, I would have liked our chances a lot better against the Miami Marlins upcoming here in the next couple of days. And I still like the Cubs' chances overall, but it's where things can happen in a best of 3 game series. So that's the thing that I'm really, really leery of. And the same thing on the Sox. Anything can happen in a best of 3 series. If Chris Bryant is looking like the 2016 and 2015 Chris Bryant, I definitely like the Cubs' chances a whole lot better, because their big 3, of course, Baez, Rizzo, and Bryant, haven't hit well really all season. So if Bryant is bat starting to come around, he hasn't been healthy, obviously, guys. So that was the key. But if his bat's starting to come around, I like the Cubs' chances a little bit better to advance at least past Miami. I think they would get the Braves or the Padres in the NLDS. So, the chances get a little bit shorter than after that. But the Sox, I believe they're in trouble because their pitching can't find the strike zone at this point. Giolito, you like your chances in Game 1 against Giolito taking the mound there. But Oakland has a really solid offense as well. And, who's going to take advantage of the fact that these 2 teams haven't played each other this season yet, right? I mean, I think those are big keys for the other series as well between Miami and the Cubs. These teams haven't played each other. So I think there is unfamiliarity there that, one of these teams can take advantage of. But I do believe the Sox are in trouble here a little bit, Sid. Their bats started to come around a little late in that Cubs series, but they weren't hitting the ball well up until that point. And outside of Giolito, Keuchel's been okay, but he's been injured. So how much can you really expect from him?
It's going to be interesting for all these series, right? Because first time you're playing outside your respective divisions on the other side. So for all of these matchups, we're going to go through them in a bit, but it's going to be very interesting to see, especially since in this case, this best of 5, all the games are going to be there, whoever's hosting it, the higher seed. So that's going to be a big difference too. Yes, granted, there's not going to be anybody there at these ballparks, but still, if you're like the lower seed, not being able to be at your ballpark to play these games, you got to feel like that's going to be an advantage for the higher seed. So now as far as the Cubs are concerned, that Marlins team is really good. You got Brian Anderson. He was one of the reasons why the Marlins got as far as down the playoffs now. And don't forget Sterling Marte is there. We'll see how he is because he's been banged up right now too. I think the Cubs started to kind of get it together a little bit. You know, Chris Bryant's become a little bit more feisty now. So I don't give a bleep about what anybody says. So I'm liking his attitude now. So I'm thinking he's gonna, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go for it. And you know, we'll see. And I think that their bats, you know, may have come in the right time. We'll see. I mean, I think they only got like one pretty good pitcher. So if you're the Cubs, I think you gotta be pretty good about the Marlins series. As for the White Sox, does anybody know the Chapman injury? Is he going to be able to play? Is there any updates on that, Sid?
As far as I know, I doubt it. But as of this podcast, I doubt that he plays. But if he does, which I'll be shocked, it gives Oakland a huge boost. But I don't think he's going to play.
And plus, remember,
as far as I know.
Okay. So yeah. So even still, I mean, for the White Sox, you got to go all the way to Oakland.
Historically, the Sox have done bad out there in Oakland. So
yeah.
I know it has nothing too much to do with this group, but it doesn't fare well.
Yeah, historically, yeah. You can go back a good like 20, 25 years. Yeah, you can go back a good 20, 25 years. I mean, it has not. Oakland and the White Sox bats in Oakland don't mix, so we'll see if they can able to get off the schneid there. So if I had to choose who has a better chance of winning their respective series, I say the Cubs. But again, this is sort of like all this. The stuff is so weird that look, anything could happen. So yeah. We'll see. I mean, a lot of these series starts tomorrow, so we'll see what happens here. Now let's go through some of these matchups real quick. First one, you got Reds and Braves.
I'll go with Atlanta because of their young talent. Cincinnati, congrats to them for backing into the playoffs. But Atlanta, I think they had some humble pie after losing the way they did in Game 5 on their home field last year to the St. Louis Cardinals. Just like the White Sox, this is the time that Atlanta's supposed to grow up and show improve. I expect them to do that. This should be a quick 2-game sweep. So I'm going with the Braves in this one.
You know, I want to go with the Braves, Sid, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Braves start becoming the Dodgers and not doing it in the playoffs. But I'm gonna go with them this time to see. But hey, I'm not too comfortable with it.
Listen, this is a 3-game series in my opinion, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Reds outright pull it out. I'm not gonna go there,
like me a little bit.
But I don't know how much you've been watching of Luis Castillo and Trevor Bauer, Sid. But they're one of the best 1-2 duos in entirety of baseball right now. The Braves are in trouble. If they can get past Bauer in Game 1, I like their chances. But if Bauer throws a gem in that Game 1, they're going to have trouble because Luis Castillo is a really, really good pitcher as well.
Yeah, that's why I would think that don't be surprised this does go 3. But yeah. I think Atlanta pulls it out, though.
Yeah. Just
because of the talent.
That's what I was saying. I'm uncomfortable with that pick, but it's going to be tough. It ain't going to be no cakewalk.
All right. Next up, we got Houston and Minnesota.
Well, Sid, I mean, this is kind of your account. I mean, you know Minnesota more than the best of us. What do you think?
I don't like teams that hit home runs. They usually don't do well in the playoffs. But more importantly, the Twins, I don't like their starting pitcher. I know Jose Barros is good. Rich Hill, boo. Maeda, boo. But Houston, as we said all year long, they have been inconsistent, especially on the road. I know they're not going to face the heat from the fans, but Dusty Baker, I know he had his own issues when he was mentioned with the Cubs here in Chicago, but that was a long time ago. But with that being said, I think that Dusty Baker's managing experience will help this Houston Astros team. I know Verlander is out for Houston, but they should have enough depth in their starting rotation to get this done. I think Minnesota does pull a game out. This will go 3 games. I have Houston winning 2 out of 3.
Ooh.
Okay.
Upset.
No, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna ride with Sid on that. I think Houston gonna play some slow ball and beat them, man. I think the experience gonna kick in. Houston know how to win, and the best got to show up to do it. If the Yankees run away with everything because of home runs, I might start to change my opinion on hitting in the playoffs. But until I see it, I'm going Houston.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota here. and it's kind of a cop-out sort of pick here. I just haven't seen Houston. I just haven't seen them. If I've actually seen them play, I could probably give a better analysis on this series. But as far as what I've seen from the outside looking in, they look really, really inconsistent. And I've seen Minnesota. So I'm gonna take Minnesota in a 3-game series here. I like their bats a little bit better. I think Rich Hill is actually probably gonna surprise some people, and I think he'll probably get the game 2 start and pitch pretty well. But I think it'll go 3, and I'm gonna pick Minnesota to pull it out. In a wild game 3, by the way. I think game 3 could be like one of those like 10-9, 11-9 type of games.
Oh my God, I've been going back and forth here. I would go with Houston because of experience, but I think not having Verlander there, having that sort of that leader that kind of, kind of like keep everybody in check. So I'm picking Minnesota. I think Minnesota feels like they should have went further last season, so their bats kind of went cold. But I think them being over at Target field, that's gonna help them. So this goes 3, but I'm gonna pick Minnesota for. And I think, like you said, but I'm thinking that maybe like 2-1 or 1-0. Those kind of that kind of thing, the opposite side of the spectrum there.
Not the scoring.
Yeah. So, all right, a battle of AL East Division rivals. In this one, you got Toronto and Tampa. I want to start, please. I'm going to pick Toronto.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Toronto in the upsets. I love this Toronto team. I think they're ready. I love their manager. He's a great motivator, and I think they feed off his energy. Tampa Bay, I need you to show me. And I think their youth, I know Toronto's pitch is a little concerning, but I think having that sort of like that, the bats, and I think they're ready. I think the fact that they couldn't play in Toronto. So I think they're going to use that as motivation, and I say Toronto in, 3.
I'll go with you because I'm agreeing with you. I mean, if you said who played for Toronto, that would be a good trivia question right now for a lot of teams. But who played for Tampa Bay? So it don't really matter at that point. So I'm going with Toronto simply because it's time that somebody shakes some things up over there. And, Tampa Bay been teasing us for a few years, and I'm going with Toronto.
I like Tampa Bay. I'll take this one, Sid. I like Tampa Bay in this series, and I actually think it's going to be a sweep. I like Toronto. You guys know how I feel about Toronto. I've actually seen a lot of those young boys play on that team up close and in person. I really, really like their young talent. I just think they're a year away. And it's not necessarily a knock on them, but they don't have the pitching. They've kind of been doing it with just offense, and that's okay. But I like Tampa Bay's pitching just a little bit better than I like Toronto, so I'm going to take Tampa Bay in the sweep.
That will be.
Guys, that always give manager Kevin Cash of the Tampa Rays his props, and rightfully so. But with that being said, I'm not going to repeat Jason's points. I actually agree with them. I'm going with Tampa Bay. This should be a 2-game sweep, but I'm going to be nice that they're going to finish off Toronto in 3. Toronto has nice young talent, but they're just like the White Sox and their older brothers in the Atlanta Braves. This is a young group that has to go through the experience. And Tampa Bay has fundamental sound guys that can get it done in clutch situations. So I'm going with Tampa Bay in 3.
Should be a good one.
And Blake Snell gets to start for game 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm not worried. I'm sure they'll win that one, but I got Toronto pulls it out somehow. I don't know why, but next up, St. Louis and San Diego.
I'll start. This is where my upset is coming in, guys. I like the Cardinals here. I really do.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think San Diego's a good team. But if I'm picking, something weird to happen, in these playoffs, like these things tend to do, I like the Cardinals' experience just a little bit more than the Padres' experience. I know it'll be in San Diego. I get it. But I think the Cardinals have the veteran leadership to do it. And I'm looking for a bold prediction. I'm looking for a shutout. I'm not sure who gets the game 1 start, but I think it'll be Wainwright in game 2. And I'm going to go with a bold prediction and say Wainwright turns back the clock to 2011 and throws like a 7-inning, 2-hit, no-run game and gets them over the hump and into the next round.
I feel the same way, Jason. Like, I feel about the Cardinals kind of how the Bears fan feel about the Packers. So I never really ride with them, but I'm riding with them in this because I think the San Diego they all like show in a sense. I don't think they ready yet, and I think they still missing a little something. And I mean, I like you say, that experience gonna play some dividends. So I'm going with St. Louis too, man. I mean, it hurt me to say it, but I'm gonna ride with them.
As a fan, I like watching San Diego play, but as a baseball quote-unquote purist, great defense always beats great hitting. You're going to see that in this series, so I'm going with St. Louis.
Not sure if Mike Clevenger is going to be able to pitch. That thigh injury is still bothering. I think the arm injury I think he has is still bothering him. So as much as it pains me, and I love watching the Padres, I think it's St. Louis. I'm going with this. In this case, I am going with experience. All right. The Yankees and Cleveland.
Speaking of Mike Clevenger, Lakina, this is where that trade is going to come in handy. Is going to affect the Indians. I know they have Shane Bieber, but after that, I don't like the rest of their starting staff in terms of Cleveland. The Yankees, they have everybody back from injury, i.e. Aaron Judge, i.e. Giancarlo Stanton. But who's going to step up as their next starter after Garrett Cole? If the Yankees can solve that problem, I think they'll take this series. I think they have enough offense to override Cleveland. With that being said, I think the Yankees have something to prove. They're a better team than Cleveland overall. I'm going with the Yankees in 3.
You know, Sid, I got to agree with you, Sid, because I think they won't worry about that second pitcher because they just going to out-hit them. And I think that's why the Yankees going to go past them and move on to the next series. They just going to out-hit them.
Yeah, I mean, that could work in this series, although I have an inkling of a mind to say that might not even work. I'm still going to take the Yankees in 3 games, but, I mean, mashing the ball out of the ballpark isn't going to get you very, very far. It might get you past this first round, though.
Yeah.
But this is why we lauded that trade of Mike Clevenger early in the season, guys. What in the hell were Cleveland? What were they thinking? I don't get it. I still don't get it. But this is why something like that can jump up and bite you in the butt. I mean, it's a 3-game series. If you would have told me you would have had Shane Bieber and Mike Clevenger, or in reverse order, games 1 and 2, I would have took Cleveland and sweep in this thing. But with that question mark outside of Shane Bieber and your staff, I just can't in good conscience pick the Cleveland Indians. So I'm going to take the Yankees in 3.
Yankees in 3. Their offense, thank God everybody's healthy. They've got a lot to prove, like you said, Lamont and then Sid. And I think the offense will outrun pitching. Even if they don't have anybody after Garrett Cole, I think the offense, especially now that everyone's healthy, will do just enough for them to win this series. Last but not least, the Brewers against the Dodgers. I longed it that way on purpose.
I know you
I did that.
Yeah. All together, class, the Dodgers in a 2-game sweep.
Yeah.
Any objections?
Nope.
No, for me. Not for me.
I'm agreeing with you too, bro.
Okay.
You could have just pressed go and everybody. You knew that.
Well, look, the Dodgers got a lot to prove at this point, and it's not now when. Yeah, so I'm yeah.
They got to prove it. Not this round.
Yeah. Well, let's just get to this next round. Okay. Who you think wins? Do both the Cubs and the Sox win their series, or do one of them win? Do neither of them win?
They both win because the White Sox gonna wake up in Oakland for the first time. They're gonna show up.
Boy, I don't know. I like Oakland in 3. Sorry to say, Sid. If the Sox would have played better, even if the Cubs would have took 2 out of 3 from them, if the Sox would have just played better before that series, I would have liked the Sox chances. But I just don't like the way they're playing lately. I'm gonna take Oakland in 3 here.
As far as the Cubs are concerned, we'll take them over the Marlins. As for the Sox and A's, this is really tough, but I'm going to have to go with Oakland for this one. I think part of it is because, like you said, Jason, because of their late season struggles. But I think I know it's easy to do this because most fans do this, but I think it's going to be a decision or two or maybe three that Sox manager Ricky Renteria may have to force to do and may come and bite them in the you know what. And I'm just so afraid of that. I think because of that, I think Oakland will edge out in the 3-game series.
Yeah, that's why
I hope I'm wrong as a fan, but as an expert, I got to pick Oakland.
Yeah, and that's why I'm picking the Oakland. I just look at, especially the history. This is not a very good history, like I said a few minutes ago, with the Sox and the Oakland. The bats don't show up. I think they'll keep it close, but I think Oakland wins it in the end. Cubs, I feel pretty confident the Cubs will beat the Marlins. Because, like I said, I mean, you got these teams having to, travel across country in some cases when they haven't had to. So you got to think that's going to play a part too.
We gonna see.
All right, should be fun. 16 games. We'll see if they keep with this after after the season's over.
God, I hope not.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will either, Jason. All right, so let's go to the hardwood now. Our NBA Finals is now set. It'll be.
I'm with you.
That's what the NBA executives are saying this morning.
Come on, all right.
They wanted Lakers Celtics.
All right, yeah. I mean, look, you got the Miami Heat against the Los Angeles Lakers. For the Heat, I think this is their 8th appearance in the finals, if I'm not mistaken. And for the Lakers, they've been in so many. I think it's in the 20s, I'm sure, at this point. So the history. So I might be wrong about that, but yeah. So break it down. I know I'll start with you, Jason, since you're so excited about this.
Yeah, can't you tell? Can't you tell how excited I am?
Your enthusiasm it's just overwhelming.
It's gleaming.
I want to start with the team that didn't make the NBA Finals. If the team that did make the NBA Finals, if I can.
The Clippers.
After you.
Denver, obviously, they're probably one more player away from really, really being where they need to be in the Western Conference. I think it was a great showing by them. But obviously with that game-ending shot by Anthony Davis really turned that series on a dime. Couldn't really overcome it. I thought they would push it to a 6 games and a possibly 7, but couldn't overcome that. And that's okay. I picked the Lakers to win that series anyway, but Denver looks like they may be one more player away. We'll see if Michael Porter is able to step up next season and take on that role. For the Boston Celtics, I couldn't be more disappointed. I couldn't be more disappointed, and I love Brad Stevens as a coach, but there's starting to be that nagging voice in the back of my head about Brad Stevens and his Boston Celtics team. Sometimes a coach can take a team to an apex, and sometimes it takes another coach to take that team over that apex. And I don't know if Brad Stevens is the coach to get them to the apex or the coach to take them over the apex, because this was I believe the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons that they made the Eastern Conference Finals, and they still were not able to get it done. Now, they're still a very young team, and I have to say that. They're still a very young team. But I am still very, very much disappointed. It's like teams go up against the Miami Heat and forget how to defend the 3-point line. And I just don't get that. They execute their offense really well. I'm not trying to try to say the Heat are not deserving of what they do. They execute their offense really well. I have to give them credit. But way too many times in the past 2 playoff series, I saw wide open guys hitting open threes. And Boston was supposed to be way better than that, and they weren't. Jason Tatum, I thought, would show up and show out in this series, and he was maddeningly inconsistent. Kemba Walker, man, I like Kemba Walker, but he really got exposed in this series. He really did, and hopefully he can learn from it and come back a better player this season. But it looks like Kemba Walker is really starting to be who he is at this point too. So for the Boston Celtics, it's back to the drawing board in a lot of different ways. I mean, I know they didn't have Gordon Hayward for much of that series. I don't know if it would have helped the way they played. I just don't know if it would have helped. But it's back to the drawing board for them, and they've got to figure out a way to again get over the hump, because they've got the talent to do it, and they just haven't yet.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on both fronts, man. Like to go back to what you said about Denver, that one player away thing you're saying, they are one player away. Maybe like a DeMar DeRozan or somebody that don't cause DeMar DeRozan to be really, really good in that spot. And Michael Porter could continue to learn, and they can go from there. So he is a free agent, I think, coming up also, so they may look in that direction. But at the same time, you know, they are that player away. And with the Lakers, of course, they there. Everybody knew they was going there. And over to your Boston Celtics, like you was just saying. Yeah, Brad Stevens can only take them so far, man. And is something missing? And I don't know if it's veteran leadership or is it the coach? You know, it's like when stuff get tight, who they turn to. And as far as defending that three-point thing, Miami, they run a lot. You know, Duncan and Hero, it's like they watch Curry and Thompson films, and all they do is constantly move. So it wasn't so much as them not defending it. Them two boys run a lot to get to those three-point shots. So I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think that's going to give the Lakers some problems also, and that zone defense. The Lakers cannot run into a zone for 4 quarters straight and win a game. So the Lakers need to, like, do that fast break offense type of situation. So if Miami running that zone for most of that game, it's going to be real hard on the Lakers, a lot harder than what people think. So, I mean, I am looking forward to watching it. I mean, congratulations to Jimmy Butler. So I will be watching it. And Iguodala do know how to defend LeBron James. So we'll see.
I think for me, for this series, for the Heat and the Lakers, it's going to come down to the interior. Who's going to defend Anthony Davis?
Yep.
I know Bam Adebayo, the first-time All-Star for Miami, has had one hell of a playoff run, especially defensively. So I want to see him go up against Anthony Davis. I'm going to piggyback off your point, Lamont, as far as Andre Iguodala. We know that he can stick LeBron James. The question is how long he's going to stick with LeBron James, because Jimmy Butler is one of the top 3 two-way players in the league. He can stick LeBron too. We saw it in the past when Butler was in a Chicago uniform, so that he can draw for that experience. Also, too, the role players. This is going to be a series of which role players will show up for Miami. You have Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, who was a hero in that last series against Boston in a couple of those games. For the Lakers, can Alex Caruso keep it up? How much will Dwight Howard can contribute? Also, will you get something out of J.R. Smith or some of the other guys, Kyle Kuzma? Who else is going to show up? And, of course, you have backup point guard playoff Rajon Rondo, who's made his presence since he returned from injury early in this playoff run.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens with that was weird. What happens with this in this series? I mean, you got LeBron and AD on one end, you got Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler on the other end. Who's going to step up? Which will it be experience or will it be youth? I mean, some people will say that the Heat kind of got backed into the finals because of all the injuries that happened within their own conference, even in their own team. So you got to think that, okay, which is going to win out here? So I'm excited to see how the series does. I know ESPN, I'm sure they wanted Celtics and Lakers, but I think the Heat and the Lakers are going to be a very formidable series, and I think this will be a thrilling one. And I know some people will say it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. People are already giving the Lakers the trophy, but give Eric Spoelstra a little bit of credit here, folks. I mean, this is a guy that's been there from when he was a video guy. People forget, and then he went way up into becoming one of the top coaches in the league. So let's give him a little bit of love too. And also, Udonis Haslem, I think this is going to be like a 7th or 8th trip to the NBA Finals with the Heat. So you got to think I think they're gonna kind of feed off him. So look, the storylines are there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm those people. I am not at all, and I love that. This is going to be a 5-game. Everything that Miami doesn't do well, the Lakers are going to expose. And this is the narrative that I'm going to hate. when the series is over in 5 games. Is that, look, people, whether we like it or not, people are going to start putting LeBron James and his greatest of all time player back on the board. And LeBron James, even though he had a triple-double in Game 5 against the Denver Nuggets, he has not nearly been the most important or the best player for the Lakers. It's been Anthony Davis. And the thing that I'm going to hate about this is that when the Lakers win, because they will, this is going to somehow be one of LeBron's greatest achievements, and he's going to be put on this pedestal. And I don't think people are going to give Anthony Davis the credit that he deserves for being the most dominant player in his playoffs.
I agree with you, Jason. I mean, Anthony Davis is the reason they will win, and going forward in the future, Anthony Davis, if he stays in LA, will be that reason. And you're right. They're already talking about that LeBron greatest of all time conversation. I seen Stephen A. Smith talking about he'll never say that LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. And they're going to put LeBron on that pedestal if they pull that game. I mean, when they pull this series out, because I do think they're going to win. But, I mean, I hope the Heat punch him in the mouth a couple of times before they lose.
I think the Miami Heat will. That's why I have the Lakers in 6. I think people are underestimating Miami because they don't have this quote-unquote super team like the Lakers do on the other side. But as I mentioned before, Jimmy Butler, we know that he can bring in, especially in the fourth quarter. Also, you have other role guys. They know what to do, that they do not step outside themselves. For the Lakers, it's all about concentration and focus. If they can play a full 48 minutes, there will be a quote-unquote gentleman's sweep. But I think Miami's going to give more than people will give them credit for. So with that being said, I have the Lakers in 6.
And let's give Bam Adebayo some love, too. I mean, he's definitely been an unsung hero to kind of step it up for Jimmy when, he has his struggles, and also a hero when he kind of up and down. So let's give him a little bit of credit, too. I'm going to say Heat in 6 as well. I think this is going to be a better series that people are going to be giving them credit for. And I think Heat are going to show you why they're in the finals to begin with. So,
well, if the Heat pull it off, they'll never bring that LeBron greatest of all time question up again. So I'll be rooting for the Heat.
Yeah, 5 games at the most.
Should be fun, though. We'll see. I think this will be an entertaining series, though, regardless.
God, I hope you guys are right.
All right, so off to the college gridiron this time, sort of like, a full slate of games. What impressed you since they're going into week 3 here?
I will start. I have a new hero.
I should say.
I have a new hero. Mississippi State quarterback KJ Costello.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
He threw for 606. Look, listen what we stand. 600 yards. Not 1, not 2, not even 4. 600.
Doing a LeBron thing.
in Baton Rouge, he threw for 600 yards. Not at home. He wasn't at Stanford. He threw for 600 in Death Valley with people in the stands. I know it wasn't 105,000 like it was supposed to be, but it was enough. And yes, he put that man was looking like he was like Tom Brady or Joe Burrow or whoever you want to call him. He looked really, really good. He looked so good, I'm going to watch the rest of their games this year simply because of that one performance. So he's my new hero. And as far as the rest of this college football season going, it's a lot of upsets, a lot of teams ready to play and a lot of teams not ready to play. So I'm actually liking that these bigger teams are not walking in and winning by names and you getting these rankings by your name. They're having to earn it this year. And I think a lot of teams won't be where a lot of people thought they would be. And there's going to be a lot of teams with them high numbers, quote unquote, getting knocked off. So I look for that trend to continue all throughout the season. So, and LSU will stay in the top 10.
Well, they're currently not right now. Lamont, I think they're about 20. But I think Mississippi State is actually pretty good. So I mean, I hope you weren't expecting LSU to go undefeated again.
No, they lost 14 people, man.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to be okay. I think,
They
you know.
okay.
But,
They're the quarterback.
yeah, but you know, they might struggle a little bit, but they're going to be okay. They still got a ton of talent. But I think Mississippi State is actually probably pretty good. KJ Costello, I could be wrong on this, Lakina, and maybe you can help me out. I don't know if you know this for sure, but wasn't he a former Stanford quarterback?
I believe so. Yep.
He was at Stanford.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So right, I thought so, and I was watching a little bit of the game. I didn't get to see any of it really, but I got to saw a very small amount of it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, this guy looks familiar. I just couldn't picture it at the time though. I hadn't heard the announcer say anything at the times I was watching it. So, Mississippi State, they're probably pretty good. Listen, Kansas State. I mean, how about those Wildcats, right? I mean, coming off a really, really bad loss the week previous, they come out and I would say surprised the hell out of the Oklahoma Sooners, who always seem to have a game like this, Lakina. We've been talking about the Sooners for a few years now too. They always seem to have a game like this one way or the other. So, two big surprises there for the weekend, that's for sure.
I didn't get a chance to catch much college football this week. I did flip around to a couple of games where we talked about the last couple of weeks. Lamont was they last a certain amount of fans in that, mostly the student body, maybe a few family members of the players. It did look full, but we know technically it's not full. But as we said before, as these states hopefully start to ease up on the guidelines, you may see, I don't know if you'll see full crowds this year, but you may see a little bit more people in attendance as the weeks go on. Should
they had like 22,000.
The percentages continue to go downwards.
Yeah, they had like 22,000 at LSU games. So it probably, I think it's gonna mostly be those SWAC schools that have people there though, because that's the bread and butter of their culture. So I think that's where that comes. But I had a question, like the Alabama game, like what happened with Tua's brother? Is he playing or what's going on down in Alabama?
I thought I saw a place where I think he's transferring, I think.
Because I know I didn't see it. I didn't see him nowhere on the field or anything when I caught some of the game, but I'm gonna have to check into that.
The one game I was actually looking forward to was the University of Miami versus Florida State. I couldn't watch the whole thing because Miami whooped that ass. I was like, thanks for the only college football game I wanted to watch, but times have changed at Florida State. Miami, it looks like they're back, but I want to see them if they can put it together for a few more games.
I mean, they got a quarterback, man.
They haven't had the last few years.
They do.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Listen, De'Ara King is a difference maker.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have them winning some football games. But to me, this is about Florida State.
The cupboard's bare there. The cupboard's bare down there in Tallahassee.
I mean,
they could have let Deion be the coach. That way he could have brought some talent in.
That program is really, really falling on hard times. I wasn't sure about the Mike Norvell hire in the first place. I know, I hope he gets well. I know he's under quarantine right now, so I'm not trying to pile on him right now at all. Again, I know he's dealing with COVID, so I wish him a speedy recovery. But that program is in shambles. I think Justin Blackman is a better quarterback than what he's shown, but he hasn't really shown it. And I think that the coaching staff has a lot to do with that. So Florida State, again, I'm not the biggest Florida State fan at all, but they are in trouble.
They should have man.
It should be easy. It's good to see how Miami lives. I know I have people in Miami already say, "Hey, Miami's back. The U's back." Okay, guys, slow down. Your next game's against Clemson, so let's slow down here. And they were off this week, so
yeah, Clemson coming off a bye.
Yeah, so Dow will have his guys ready. I think Oklahoma State, dare I say, they may have a defense now.
Are you sure this is the Big 12 we're talking about?
I mean, look, I know it's West Virginia, and they're still going through their own transition right now. But listen, they made the plays. The defense made the plays, like they made the stops late. They kept them to field goals for the most part. So I think they may have some defense there, and also Chuba Hubbard, and he also has another fellow running back, L.D. Brown. He also ran for over 100 yards. they each had a touchdown, so they made that's a nice little tandem there. You know, Central Florida, I know people are already I know the people they're already like talking trash, like, hey guys, stop. Let's slow down here a little bit. But the Texas Tech game, that was like probably one of the, well, there's your typical Big 12 game right there, Jason.
Yeah. It's also a basketball score.
Yeah, like 63-56, they were able to pull that out. Oklahoma, yeah, I mean, a day at the end zone, why their defense sort of, killed them. And, they were up like, I think, 17 or 18 or something like that. And they couldn't hold on to it. I know they have a lot of young guys in that defense, but still, there's no excuse. You're a lot better than that. And Spencer Rattler, I think he's only like a redshirt freshman, I think, so, or redshirt sophomore, or something like that. So he'll only this is his first year starting, so he'll only get better. But come on now, where's your defense at Oak? You got to have a little bit of a defense. I know this is a Big 12, but you got to have some semblance of a defense.
You got to be able to tackle a person.
Speaking of a conference, guys, this news broke last week, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. The Pac-12 is supposed to return in November for a short 7-game only conference schedule. What are you guys' thoughts? We know the Big Ten is going to return later next month in October.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, college football is like okay, you did it, so I'm going to do it type situation. So once them first teams play, whoever those teams were, I knew everybody else would eventually jump on the bandwagon, man. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, oh, they got away with it, so we going to get away with it.
Yeah, again, this is all goes back to my ranting and ravings about the NCAA for weeks now. On one hand, I'm happy we're starting to see some football starting to be played again, not only in the NFL but in college. But I just hope nothing dangerous happens with any of these teams, with any of these kids, because we're still talking about kids here. So I'm happy on one hand, but I'm just cautiously optimistic on the other hand. The other point I'm trying to make about all of this is that how will they sort of not enforce, but how will they value, I guess, the rankings now, right? Because all of these conferences are having odd game schedules or even game schedules. You might have a 10-game schedule here or a 7-game schedule in the Pac-12's case. I'm just wondering how they're going to value these polls, especially when it comes down to a potential playoff.
It's gonna strictly be the eye test. They're gonna really just go with this is the most open. It's always a mess and confusing, but this gonna be the most open one ever, because it's gonna be strictly an eye test, and you're gonna strictly have to go on the eye test, and they're trusting us to trust them and their decisions when they don't have any clear-cut leadership in this whole COVID situation to begin with. So you want us to trust you in how you see these teams, but you don't even have leadership when it comes to saying who's going to play over this whole situation. So it's going to be an eye test type of situation.
And like I said before, I mean, you got to put an asterisk. It's probably like the one thing where you may have to put an asterisk on, because some schools are going to be playing more games than other schools. Some schools are not even going to play. So they're Pac-12's only doing 7. You got the SEC is going to do 10. And I think the ACC is also doing 9 or 10. So are you gonna go with a 9-2 ACC team, or go with a 7-0 Pac-12 or an 8-0 Big Ten team? I mean, how are they gonna be able to do this? I mean, yeah, you can do the eye test, Lamont, but again, if you're already seen like the first month and a half with the Big 12 and the SEC and the ACC, and that you see, I'll use Ohio State as an example. Okay, if they end up being 7-0, being 7-0, but yet they play a couple of close games, who are you gonna choose? So this is gonna be where, this is sort of gonna be one of those things where they've already said they're gonna let just about everybody in the for bowl games this year. So you could have a 1 or 2 win team playing in a bowl game. That's just how crazy this this season is gonna be. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, I want to see how they do this, because outside like the COVID aspect of it, I mean, I hope none of the players or coaches or a coach's wife or a kid or a family member of one of the players or somebody in the personnel, because we've seen it. We saw with with Wake Forest and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's having problems. I know a couple other schools are also having issues. So this could be one of those things where will they finish? That's going to be the problem. That's going to be the key if these guys end up finishing.
As long as they don't have a major outbreak, I think they will finish. Like you mentioned, Kenny, there's been a couple of games that have been postponed or moved to later dates ever since these big conferences have started back playing. But as long as you can keep it under control and catch it right away, I think they'll finish. You can move games around here and there, but when it's a major outbreak, it's going to be problems. But I'm cautiously optimistic that college football is going to finish.
Going to be very interesting. Couple more things here before we wrap up. Georgia, do they have a quarterback? I mean, JT Daniels, he got banged up, and he will be available for Saturday against Auburn. Auburn, another one of those studs, I like to say. They got a nice team there. They were able to pull out against Kentucky. Probably one of the strangest games that probably from that Saturday slates. If you haven't even seen the game, I'll spare you guys details as to why. But what do you guys think about Georgia?
Yeah, I like them a lot. We'll see what they can do, in the SEC East division. It looks like Tennessee might be pretty good as well, so they might have some competition there. But also Florida as well, too. They look really good as well. So we'll see what happens in the SEC. But yeah, if they, they're going to have some trouble if they don't have JT Daniels back and healthy. That's for sure.
I was going to mention Tennessee. I was like, Tennessee was going to have something to say about Georgia being better. Tennessee going to have something to say about a lot of people, it looked like.
Yeah, they could. You're right.
We was calling for Tennessee head about a year and a half or so ago.
Yep.
We was calling for their whole head to roll, so they must have heard us. And they we got listeners in Tennessee that check us out. They heard what we were saying.
Uh-oh. Look, sorry, we apologize, but yeah, it'll be interesting though. Couple more things before we wrap up. The French Open, oddly enough, has started already. Rafa Nadal has already won his first round match in straight sets. I believe Monfils did as well. I thought I saw a score, but who do you guys think wins the French Open in this weird sort of way, like fall in Paris, I guess?
And they on clay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Serena, she's still in it, so I'm gonna go with her. But she lets you slide a lot on clay for some reason.
Well, yeah, it's clay, Lamont. You're gonna slide.
You're gonna be sliding. Yeah.
Like more than normal.
No.
Electric slide.
She have skid marks. Like she be kicking dust up. Like so. Every time it's always funny. She be real. Like I watch her a lot when she play on it. She be real dirty.
That's how it is, Lamont. That's clay.
I know. I'm saying dirty.
Well, again, listen, just give him the benefit of the doubt. He may not know a little bit about the clay circuit. They kind of play it like that, Lamont. They play it in strategy because the clay is so kind of slippery. They're sort of doing that on purpose when they slide like that. Because you can really roll an ankle or tear up your knee if you try to plant your foot in the ground on that thing. So they kind of play like that on purpose. But no, you're right. It's a bit dirty, and they do slide around a lot, but it's on clay. So listen, you guys know how I feel about Serena. I'm trying to start like a broken record here with her as well. We all wanted to get to 24, but as of lately, she's getting to the finals and having a bad finals, or she's losing in the semis and not quite making it these past couple of years. So hopefully things can fall right to where she can get to 24. I don't think that needs validation in our eyes as far as having her the greatest tennis player of all time, men's or women's included, in my opinion. So I like Serena to win, but we'll see. On the other side, if Nadal is healthy, he is the all-time king of the clay. So I've got to run with those odds.
Sid?
I'll go with Serena. She'll do the Casper slide. Take it back now, y'all. 2 hops this time.
Oh gosh. Okay. Look, I've said before, until Nadal, I know Nadal hasn't played in months. I know he even said that, look, this is, people are gonna have to bear with me because this is I haven't played in months, he didn't play the US Open, understandably so, but I think until someone beats him, I'm going to pick him to win it. And on the other side, I mean, look, the Americans have not, either men or women, have not done well, with the exception of Serena in recent years. I think she's only won one or two anyway, so I'm not really banking on her to win it. I know that Osaka. I know Naomi Osaka's already said that she's not going to play, so that's gonna be so it's pretty much wide open. I think maybe I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like Kvitova or somebody like that ends up winning. Maybe if I am going to pick an American, I think maybe Sloane Stephens. She did pretty well. I think on clay. She has done well on clay. I'm sure she's going to want to diva herself there. So I think the women's side is wide open. On the men's side, I think until someone beats Nadal, I'm going to pick him to win it. I think this is like this is I think it's like his 90th French Open, French Open title. So we'll see what happens there. So any other nuggets you guys want to say?
Yeah, shout out to the NFL. That Cleveland-Washington game, they had 3 women. They had 2 women on each side and a woman referee. That's impressive. I mean, I'm glad that the men can listen to the women and accept coaching from a woman, and I'm glad that we're trending in that direction, because there's a lot of smart, very intelligent women out there that know the game just as well as a lot of us men do. So I was happy to see that.
Jason?
I'm looking forward to the NBA Finals, and I'm looking forward to the baseball postseason. This should be interesting. As you mentioned, Lakina, they may not bring this format back next year. Soon that we get back. I think we will get back to a normal 162-game season. This should be.
I'm looking forward to some Monday Night Football, no doubt about it. Again, I mentioned it earlier in the show. Slight blowout potential from my side. The Ravens can blow out the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game. But I like the Ravens to sort of show the national audience that they're a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you with that, Jason. I think they're going to do so. I think it's time. And like Lakina said earlier in the show, they are a little upset by the way they went out. So I think they, it's going to be something to see tonight. And, of course, I'm watching my favorite show tonight because The Rock is on his way back. So I'm watching Raw.
I know you're looking forward to that one, Lamont. All right, I'm looking forward to the playoffs starting. Like you said, Sid, we'll see. I'm with you, Sid. I doubt they'll keep this format for next year. I think they just did it just for, ratings purposes and such. I'm looking forward to the finals. I think this is gonna go 6. Lakers in 6. I know you have your doubts, Jason and Lamont, but I think this will go 6. And I'm looking forward to tonight's game, depending on when this gets posted. Chiefs and Ravens. I think Ravens will win, and I think they will pull away because I think the Chargers gave you a blueprint on how to slow down Pat Mahomes and that offense. So I think they're gonna do that, and I think they will. I think we may be seeing a preview of the AFC Championship game.
You think the world will panic if they blow out Kansas City? You think the world will be like,
so. They shouldn't.
Mahomes like the greatest and all of that?
They shouldn't, but you know how some folks are. So I'm not. But I don't know. Everyone else will, but I will. What say you guys?
Well, you guys know how I feel. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a blowout outright, not just again that they pull away late. We've seen this sort of thing before when two teams, sort of battling at the top of their conference. Again, Baltimore is gonna still have that memory just slightly in the back of their mind about how their season ended. The national audience, they're going to be hyped for it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens win by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Can't wait.
Baltimore blows out Kansas City. It shouldn't be a surprise, but remember too, it's early in the season, unless you have a major injury, heaven forbid. But like you said, there's always going to be those 1 or 2 fools that want to make something bigger than what it is. But I'm not going to fall for that trap.
Me neither. Yeah, like I said, I think this will be, even if it is a being a blowout, but I think that they'll be okay. I think KC fans should if you do get blown out, let's just chill out here. So anything else? Any announcements? Any guys want to okay? All right. And on that note, you follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, at Keena_McGee on Instagram.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter, and Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram.
You can follow yours truly, SidKid80, on Twitter and Instagram at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can read my articles at weareregalradio.com. That's WEAREREGAL radio.com. And you can listen to this lovely podcast, Second City Sports, part of the WARR Media Group on WARR on Anchor, just what kicks you over to Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you download WARR on Anchor. Don't forget to download the iHeartRadio app. When you do, please search for WARR on Anchor in your search engine box. Just type in WARR on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. And we're also on YouTube at WARR Media. Type in that search engine box on YouTube, WARR Media. That's WARR Media. And you can watch this lovely podcast via the visual. And there we are. Voila.
All right. So enjoy the game.
What about Jason?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you forget me out of here.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Come on now. You can follow me at Truth and Reason _ on the Twitter. You can follow the show's Twitter handle at 2NDCSCHI. Follow us, we follow back.
All right. So for the guys, I'm Lakeem. This is Second City Sports Zoom style. Be safe, wash your hands, and enjoy the sports.
Till next time. Holla!